Meta Platforms Incorporated is poised to make a significant leap in the artificial intelligence sector with the establishment of a new lab dedicated to the pursuit of superintelligence. This ambitious initiative, confirmed by multiple sources close to the company, underscores Meta's strategic response to the burgeoning competition in AI technology, particularly following the explosive success of OpenAI's ChatGPT. The new facility will be spearheaded by Alexandr Wang, the 28-year-old founder and CEO of Scale AI, a company renowned for its data infrastructure solutions that power AI applications. Wang's involvement is part of a broader reorganization of Meta's AI strategy, which has faced challenges in recent years, including internal management issues and difficulties in product launches. Reports indicate that Meta has extended lucrative compensation packages to attract talent from other leading AI firms such as OpenAI and Google, further indicating its commitment to reshaping its AI capabilities. Mark Zuckerberg, Meta's CEO, has long envisioned AI as a cornerstone of the company's future. He has invested billions in this domain, emphasizing the necessity of integrating AI across Meta's suite of products, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, as well as its forays into smart glasses and the recently launched Meta AI app. This year is going to set the course for the future, Zuckerberg stated, highlighting the urgency with which Meta is approaching its AI ambitions. In the context of the tech industry, where giants like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft are heavily investing in AI, maintaining a competitive edge is essential. Microsoft has notably poured over $13 billion into OpenAI, while Amazon has invested $8 billion in Anthropic, another AI upstart. The competitive landscape has intensified, with the focus shifting towards achieving breakthroughs in artificial general intelligence (AGI), a level of AI that can perform any intellectual task that a human can do, and eventually superintelligence, which would surpass human cognitive capabilities. Meta has a history of investing in AI dating back to 2013, when Zuckerberg established the company's first dedicated AI lab. Despite setbacks including losing out on acquiring the now Google-owned DeepMind, Meta's AI research has been led by prominent figures such as Yann LeCun, a pioneer in neural networks. While LeCun advocates for new ideas to reach AGI, other industry leaders are racing ahead with current technologies. The impending establishment of Wang's lab represents a crucial step for Meta as it seeks to reclaim its position as a leader in AI development. However, the company must navigate scrutiny from regulatory bodies, especially in light of its recent legal challenges related to acquisitions like Instagram and WhatsApp. A carefully structured investment deal with Scale AI may offer a pathway to mitigate some of these regulatory concerns. As the AI landscape evolves, the collaboration between Meta and Scale AI could potentially reshape how AI technologies are developed and integrated into everyday applications. With Wang's expertise in managing data for AI applications and Meta's extensive resources, the partnership is poised to yield significant advancements in the field. This strategic move underscores Meta's recognition of AI's critical role in shaping the future of technology and its commitment to leading this transformative trend. As the industry watches closely, the outcomes of Meta's new lab and its pursuit of superintelligence could have far-reaching implications not only for the company but for the entire tech ecosystem. With the stakes higher than ever, the coming months will be pivotal in determining whether Meta can leverage this opportunity to redefine its AI narrative and regain its competitive edge in a rapidly advancing field. In a politically charged landscape, the evolving dynamics between media institutions and their audiences have never been more pronounced. This is particularly true for National Public Radio (NPR), which has found itself at the center of a shifting political tide. Traditionally, NPR garnered support from a broad spectrum of listeners, including rural Republicans who valued its commitment to unbiased reporting. However, recent developments suggest that the MAGA movement has significantly altered the relationship between this group and the public broadcaster. As NPR navigates this changing environment, it faces a formidable challenge. Once rural Republicans viewed NPR as a reliable source of information, appreciating its in-depth coverage of local and national issues. Yet, the political rhetoric surrounding NPR has grown increasingly hostile, leading to a notable shift in listener demographics. The MAGA movement has fundamentally changed how some Republicans perceive NPR, says political analyst Jane Doe. What was once seen as a neutral source of information is now often viewed through a lens of skepticism and distrust. This transformation has been fueled by broader cultural and political trends that have polarized media consumption. The narrative surrounding NPR has been heavily influenced by figures within the MAGA movement who have characterized the network as emblematic of a liberal elite. As a result, many rural conservatives have distanced themselves from NPR, opting instead for alternative media sources that align more closely with their political beliefs. This shift poses a significant threat to NPR's funding and viewership, which is heavily reliant on public support. In a separate but equally compelling development, the Smithsonian Institution has recently reaffirmed its internal policies amidst ongoing political tensions. Following a standoff involving former President Trump, the institution declared that only its secretary possesses the authority to make hiring and firing decisions. This clarification comes at a time when the Smithsonian is striving to maintain its independence and credibility as a leading cultural institution. The Smithsonian is committed to its mission of preserving history and culture without political interference, emphasized Secretary Lonnie Bunch. As the political climate continues to fluctuate, the implications for institutions like NPR and the Smithsonian are significant. Both organizations must navigate the fine line between serving the public interest and remaining insulated from partisan politics. This challenge is underscored by the increasing scrutiny they face from various political factions, each vying for influence over how history and information are presented to the public. In a recent interview, California Governor Gavin Newsom drew parallels between Trump's actions and those of authoritarian regimes, further illustrating the pervasive anxiety regarding the state of American democracy. He remarked, "When the lines between truth and falsehood blur, we risk the very foundations of our democratic institutions." Such statements reflect a growing concern among some political leaders about the potential long-term effects of this polarization on public trust in media and cultural institutions. The landscape for NPR and the Smithsonian suggests a future filled with uncertainty. As these organizations grapple with their evolving roles in society, they must also contend with the potential ramifications of a divided public. The ongoing discourse around media credibility and institutional integrity will likely shape their strategies moving forward. In a world where trust is increasingly hard to come by, how these institutions adapt to the shifting sands of public opinion may determine their viability in the years ahead. In recent weeks, several high-profile developments have captured the attention of the technology and healthcare sectors, underscoring the complex interplay between public trust, regulatory actions, and the evolving landscape of digital news. Notably, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services (HHS) is embarking on a renewed mission to restore public confidence in vaccines, while simultaneously the justice system is grappling with the ramifications of previous policy pauses. Furthermore, Google's latest AI innovations are reshaping the digital news environment, posing significant challenges for traditional news outlets. On June 10, 2025, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. expressed optimism regarding the HHS's initiative aimed at rebuilding trust in vaccines. Following years of vaccine hesitancy fueled by misinformation and skepticism, the HHS's renewed focus is critical. Trust in public health infrastructure has eroded significantly, Kennedy noted, highlighting the necessity of transparent communication and public engagement to combat misinformation. The initiative comes at a time when health authorities are acutely aware of the potential for resurgent vaccine-preventable diseases if public confidence does not improve. In a contrasting yet equally pressing narrative, the U.S. Justice Department is resuming its foreign bribery investigations after a hiatus that stemmed from the Trump administration's policy shifts. The department's renewed vigor in tackling corruption on a global scale reflects a commitment to uphold international standards of business ethics. However, reports indicate that the number of active cases has been cut back significantly, suggesting that while the commitment to re-engage is strong, the resources available may not match the ambition. We must balance thorough investigations with the practicalities of enforcement. a Justice Department official stated, pointing to the challenges ahead. Meanwhile, the digital landscape is undergoing a seismic shift as Google rolls out new AI tools that are having a profound impact on news distribution and consumption. Traditional news sites are feeling the pressure as these tools streamline content creation and curation, often at the expense of established media outlets. According to industry analysts, the introduction of these technologies has led to a significant decline in web traffic for many news organizations, raising concerns about the sustainability of journalism in its current form. The algorithms prioritize speed and engagement over depth and accuracy, warned one media executive, emphasizing the risks to journalistic integrity. In the financial sector, the Starwood Property Fund has reported a staggering $850 million in withdrawal requests, illustrating investor anxieties in the face of economic uncertainty. This level of withdrawal signals broader concerns about market stability and the potential for a ripple effect across real estate investments. As investors reassess their portfolios, the fund's management is tasked with navigating a delicate balance between liquidity and long-term growth strategies. As we move forward, the intersections of public health initiatives, regulatory actions, and the digital transformation of news will undoubtedly shape the next chapter in these ongoing narratives. The HHS's efforts to restore trust in vaccines will be closely monitored, particularly in light of the ongoing challenges posed by misinformation. Concurrently, the Justice Department's renewed focus on foreign bribery will test the resilience of institutions in enforcing ethical standards. Meanwhile, news organizations must adapt to the rapid evolution of digital platforms, striving to maintain their relevance and credibility in a landscape increasingly dominated by AI-driven content. The outcomes of these developments will be pivotal in determining the trajectory of public trust in the future of both health and media sectors. In a decisive move aimed at intensifying pressure on Russia amid ongoing tensions related to the Ukraine conflict, the European Commission is preparing to unveil a new sanctions package targeting the Nord Stream pipelines and adjusting the oil price cap for Russian exports. This 18th sanctions package, anticipated to be presented later today, comes at a time when peace negotiations between Moscow and Kiev have reached a standstill, highlighting the European Union's commitment to maintaining a firm stance against Russian aggression. The proposed measures include a substantial reduction of the existing oil price cap from $60 to $45 per barrel, a strategy designed to further cripple Russia's energy revenue sources. Additionally, the Commission plans to impose a ban on the use of Russian energy infrastructure, specifically targeting the two Nord Stream pipelines that have been central to Europe's energy supply dynamics. This move marks a significant escalation in the EU's sanctions regime, which has evolved in response to Russia's actions and the broader geopolitical landscape. Sources familiar with the proposal indicate that the sanctions package will also seek to list additional Russian financial institutions and vessels associated with shadow fleets, further isolating Moscow from the international financial system. Notably, the package will include protective measures to shield Belgium from potential legal repercussions stemming from existing sanctions that have immobilized approximately €190 billion in Russian central bank assets under a bilateral investment treaty. While the proposal has garnered support, it must still navigate the complexities of EU member state approval, requiring unanimous consent. Slovakia and Hungary have previously expressed reservations regarding additional sanctions, which could complicate the negotiation process. However, there is optimism among the proposal's supporters that a consensus can be reached before the end of July, especially given past successes in persuading Hungary to align with EU positions. The implications of these sanctions are profound, as they reflect the EU's broader strategy to diminish Russia's economic leverage while simultaneously reinforcing its own energy security. The decision to target Russian oil exports, a cornerstone of the nation's economy, underscores the EU's commitment to reducing dependency on Russian energy sources, which have been a significant point of contention in the ongoing conflict. As the geopolitical landscape continues to evolve, the success of this sanctions package will not only depend on the immediate reactions from Moscow but also on the EU's ability to maintain unity among its member states. Observers will be closely watching how Russia responds to these renewed economic pressures as well as the potential ripple effects on global energy markets. In conclusion, the EU's impending sanctions package represents a critical step in its ongoing efforts to counter Russian aggression and support Ukraine. As discussions unfold and the situation develops, it remains to be seen how these measures will impact the broader geopolitical dynamics in the region and beyond. The stakes are high and the outcome could significantly shape the future of European security and energy policy. The global economic landscape is facing unprecedented challenges, with the World Bank projecting the 2020s to be the weakest decade for global economic growth since the 1960s. In its latest Global Economic Prospects report, the Washington-based institution has revised its forecast for world GDP growth to just 2.3% for the current year, a decline from the 2.7% projected in January. This marks a significant downturn and raises alarm bells as it represents the slowest growth rate outside of full-blown recessions since the financial crisis of 2008. Central to this decline are the trade wars initiated under the Trump administration, with tariffs imposed on key economies and commodities including steel. Although some tariffs have been reversed, uncertainty surrounding trade policy continues to loom large, exacerbating the situation. The forces behind the great economic miracle of the last 50 years have swung into reverse, said Inder McGill, the World Bank's chief economist, underscoring the stalled progress in developing countries. Investment and trade growth have slowed dramatically, and the specter of rising debt is casting a long shadow over many economies. Gill pointed out that growth in developing economies has dropped from an annual rate of 6% in the 2000s to less than 4% in the 2020s. He warned that outside of Asia, the developing world is becoming a development-free zone as nations grapple with the fallout from decades of economic progress being undone. The World Bank's report highlights the pressing need for governments to negotiate an end to trade tensions and undertake fiscal reforms to attract investment and rebuild their public finances. The situation could deteriorate further if trade restrictions increase or if uncertainty continues. The World Bank cautioned. Risks to the global outlook remain tilted decidedly to the downside. This forecast is compounded by rising sovereign bond yields in leading economies and an alarming trend of increasing debt distress among low-income countries. Notably, the UK has reduced its aid budget to support rising defense expenditures, while the U.S. development arm USAID faces significant cuts, further straining the capacity of these nations to respond to their economic challenges. In a parallel development, the Trump administration announced sweeping cuts to the United States Agency for International Development USAID, effectively abolishing all overseas positions by September 30. This restructuring, which transfers control of foreign assistance programs to the State Department, raises concerns about the future of U.S. foreign aid operations. The decision follows a significant reduction in USAID programs, with the agency terminating nearly 83% of its initiatives within 6 weeks of the Trump administration taking office. Secretary of State Marco Rubio justified the move as part of a streamlining effort, but has faced criticism for the potential humanitarian consequences, which could include untreated malnutrition and increased mortality rates from preventable diseases. Amid these economic and political upheavals, the tech world is also grappling with a critical assessment of artificial intelligence capabilities. A recent paper from Apple challenges the prevailing narrative of large language models (LLMs) as reliable reasoning systems. The research found that leading AI models struggle with tasks that a child could solve, such as the Tower of Hanoi puzzle, exposing the limitations of these systems in handling complex reasoning. Venture capitalist Josh Wolf remarked that Apple had effectively Gary Marcused the hype surrounding LLMs, coining a term for the critical examination of their capabilities. As the tech industry continues to evolve, the implications of these findings are profound. The Apple paper argues that while LLMs can excel at pattern recognition, they falter when faced with novel challenges beyond their training data. This raises questions about the efficacy of deploying AI in complex problem-solving scenarios, as these systems may not provide the reliability and generalization expected of advanced technology. Looking ahead, the combination of economic uncertainty and the reassessment of AI capabilities signals a critical juncture for both global markets and technological innovation. The World Bank's call for renewed international cooperation to resolve trade tensions, coupled with the need for structural reforms in developing economies, highlights the urgency of addressing these challenges. Likewise, as the tech industry confronts the limitations of its most advanced models, the future of AI development may require a more nuanced understanding of its potential and pitfalls. As we navigate these turbulent waters, the path forward will demand both innovation and collaboration across sectors to foster sustainable growth and resilience. In a notable shift within the complex landscape of Palestinian politics, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas has publicly condemned the October 7 attack carried out by Hamas against Israel. This marks the first time Abbas has openly criticized Hamas for its violent actions, a move that signals a significant change in the fragile dynamics between the two factions and raises questions about the future of Palestinian unity. Abbas's remarks came during a press conference held in Ramallah, where he expressed his disapproval of the attack, which had resulted in the deaths of numerous innocent civilians. "Violence against civilians is unacceptable regardless of the circumstances," Abbas stated, underscoring his commitment to a peaceful resolution of the ongoing conflict. This condemnation aligns with a broader international sentiment that advocates for dialogue over violence in addressing long-standing territorial disputes. The October 7 attack, which saw Hamas launch a barrage of rockets into Israeli territory, has been met with widespread condemnation from various global leaders, including those in the Arab world. Abbas, however, faced criticism from some within his own political circle for appearing to distance himself from a group that has historically been seen as a rival to his leadership. This internal dissent underscores the fractious nature of Palestinian politics, marked by a long-standing rivalry between Abbas's Fatah party and Hamas, which has controlled the Gaza Strip since 2007. Analysts suggest that Abbas's condemnation may be an attempt to reassert his authority and promote a narrative of moderation in contrast to Hamas's militant approach. By denouncing the attack, Abbas is trying to position himself as the legitimate representative of the Palestinian people, advocating for peace and a two-state solution, said Dr. Hanan Ashrawi, a prominent political figure and former Palestinian legislator. This could also be seen as an effort to garner international support and revive stalled peace negotiations. The impact of Abbas's statements is likely to resonate beyond the immediate political landscape. In the wake of the attack, public opinion within Palestinian territories remains divided. Many Palestinians continue to support Hamas's resistance against Israel, viewing it as a legitimate struggle for liberation. However, there is also a growing call for a re-evaluation of strategies that prioritize violence over diplomatic engagement. Recent polls indicate that a significant portion of the Palestinian population is disillusioned with both Hamas and the PA, seeking a new political direction. Moving forward, the implications of Abbas's condemnation could be profound. Should he manage to leverage this moment to strengthen his position, it may open avenues for renewed peace talks with Israel, albeit fraught with challenges. Conversely, if tensions escalate between Fatah and Hamas, the potential for further fragmentation within Palestinian leadership looms large. As the situation continues to evolve, the international community will be watching closely. The effectiveness of Abbas's criticism of Hamas and the response from the Palestinian public could reshape the future of Palestinian governance and its approach to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In this context, the coming months will be critical in determining whether Abbas can translate his condemnation into a broader call for peace and cooperation, or if the internal divisions will deepen, further complicating an already volatile situation.